Welcome to Q Focus. I'm Mark. Joining me is Doug Pollard, editor of Melbourne Star, and Pete Dillon. Thanks, guys, for coming back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Now, one of the stories we wanted to talk about is David from Big Brother. He was the third last evictee, and he's had his fair share of the 15 minutes of fame. It seems everybody wants a piece of him, including his boyfriend planning to get married.
Yes, Sharif.
The National Party want him. Maybe you'd like to tell us.
Yeah, sure. Look, this is quite interesting. David actually came out to the world in the Big Brother house when he first went in there, I think in the first week or two. And whilst he was in there for that 3 months, started addressing some fairly important issues like same-sex attracted young people and the suicide rate in rural and regional areas, talking about same-sex civil unions or same-sex marriage. Also some sort of fairly graphic discussions, I believe, about the ways in which two men might interact with one another under the doona. Yes. But it's interesting that first of all, Harry M. Miller, who is the theatrical agent to the Stars, has picked him up and he's signed a contract with Harry M. And he's also being feted by the National Party in Queensland. Now, he's a farmer from Dalby in Western Queensland. It's not.
You know Dalby, don't you? So
yes, we know Dalby.
Like?
It'd be like walking into a scene from Deliverance. With no disrespect to anybody from
no
Dalby.
Water, presumably.
I'm also from the bush, so I can relate to it. But the National Party want him, would be quite happy to have him as a candidate at the next election. Barnaby Joyce has said he would like to have him. I don't know in what way.
Even though he violently disagrees with him.
Yes, Barnaby would like to have him. And this is certainly not National Party policy. We're talking. They tend to be more in the ilk of
Bob Catter,
John Anderson, a bunch of people who tend to sort of, if they get any further right, they may fall off. So it's interesting they're fading him as a potential candidate for the National Party.
Yeah, Bob Catter was very anti the idea. I noticed there was an interview with him, I think, in the Herald Sun yesterday, in which he said, what kind of nonsense is this? Don't we stand for any kind of values anymore and all the rest of it? But he's not in the Nationals anymore, is he, Catter? He's on the outer, isn't he?
No, I think he is. I think he's
I can never remember whether he's in or out of the party.
Well, I don't know whether Bob Catter can remember whether he's in or out of the party at some points.
He definitely represents the extremist end.
Oh, he
things,
does.
He?
He does very much so. So this is quite interesting that we may have an openly gay Nat.
I was going to say it is good because then you've got someone from on our side, like representing.
Yes, but I guess in the hallowed halls of Parliament, one small voice, and from a man who tends to have a propensity to weep at any given moment is...
Well, yeah, he does have that weakness, but, oh well.
I don't know, I think that could be a kind of emotional strength.
I think he'd last 10 minutes in Parliament before he's having to rip out the Kleenex, with no disrespect to the guy.
Yes, but I think he'd rip out more than the Kleenex. Once he got over the weep, I think he'd probably be ripping into whoever got up.
He's actually quite opinionated and has some very strong views, and I like that about this guy. I'm not a Big Brother fan, and I didn't watch very much of the series, but one of the things that did strike me through sort of the flashbacks they did when he was evicted, that he was lying in bed with these photos of Sharif, the partner who he'd met at Mardi Gras 4 weeks before he went into the house, and sort of looking at these photos saying, be there when I get out, I hope this is real, I'm in love with you, sort of at these photos while he's having a weep. And then, of course, as you call it, Doug, the big shampoo commercial on the...
Oh, his exit from
the exit.
Running down that runway to each other's arms. I wanted the camera to go into slow motion and the hair bounce around.
They should have been in a field for that.
The teeth sparkle.
Without getting into another issue, it's interesting that... again, primetime television with a viewing audience of 1.5 or 1.6 million people.
But of a demographic who are, I think, quite comfortable with gay relationships.
Sure. A couple of thousand people in the audience. I think it was certainly good for the cause, if you will.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think it might have been preaching to the converted a bit because...
Nice big lip lock at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night on Channel 10.
You don't normally see that,
You don't get any better than that.
Well, no. I guess not. I guess not. And I mean, good luck to him. I hope he does succeed in whatever he decides to do. I mean,
with Harry M behind him, I think that's a given.
Yeah, well, I gather Mrs. Harry M is personally handling his account, so he's getting top-notch attention.
I guess lucky Mrs. Harry M.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly keep you up to date on David and his movements, and we'll move along to the census, which happened this week, and just a couple of issues for our community, questions that aren't actually in there, which exclude us from being recognised, if you will.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with the census. I mean, yes, you were able to record the fact that you were cohabiting in a same-sex relationship, but that's by no means all of us. Most of us are not cohabiting in a relationship.
Or for those that aren't
or even
in
a relationship at
yeah.
all. There was no way to indicate your sexuality. There was no way to indicate you were in a relationship with someone but not living with them. And there were no provision except a write-in to indicate if you were not one of the two standard genders.
Yeah, sure. I know one of the questions you could nominate your gender and
then say what you identified as.
Exactly. So it was about gender presentation. So that's sort of getting to some point being inclusive. But I think the biggest issue with the census, if we've got to have a definitive set of data to be able to effectively lobby a government to say, you know, we are 10 or 11 or 12 or 18 or 24% of a population, and therefore you can't keep discriminating against us by disallowing us the same rights as everybody else. We need to have that data, and the only way it can come is from the census.
Yeah, because I mean, the government uses the census data, for example, to decide provision for various ethnic minorities, and they can point to certain areas and say, well, if we look at this particular constituency, X number of, I don't know, Armenians happen to live here, so we need certain services for the Armenian community here.
Sure.
The local MP knows they need to court that particular community, or at least pay attention to their concerns. But if we're not identified in that way, or misidentified, or undercounted, which is what's happened with this,
sure,
then we're not given resources in proportion to our presence.
That's exactly right.
And well, how many of us are out there that don't live with our partners? I don't. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, so we'll just go unnoticed.
Yeah, there's no way.
And remain so.
Yeah, the Greens did try and add questions into the census to cover sexuality and transgender issues and so on, but it didn't get by.
Yes, just while we're talking of counting, I just wanted to touch base on this final issue here with Halem.
Yeah, well, recently the Prime Minister has been sounding off and saying that the Muslim community can't send money to Hezbollah in Lebanon because they're a terrorist organisation.
But feel free to send money to Israel, is that correct?
Well, they haven't said anything about that.
Well, they haven't not said anything about it, which I think is the point.
The point is, if people do want to contribute to helping people out in Lebanon, there's a gay group there called Helem, H-E-L-E-M. They're on the net, www.helem.net. They have banded together with a number of other community groups in Beirut who are not gay in any way, shape or form, and they are taking donations on the net to provide services for the refugees, food, shelter, water, medical help, whatever else.
And I guess the final issue on that is that
great for gay visibility.
It's also still an Arab country, and you know, it may certainly change some perspectives.
Yep.
I think we're out of time, Mark.
I think we are. All right, thanks very much, guys, for coming in. Pete,
Pleasure.
Doug, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Hi, welcome to Bent TV. I'm Jo Mullins, and with me now is Adori from Fight Like a Girl, which is a self-defence training course. Right. Adori, would you like to tell us something about Fight Like a Girl?
Sure. Fight Like a Girl, TKM, has been established by myself and Kevin Marshall, and we're basically providing an alternative training environment to learn some really effective and straightforward self-defence techniques. And we're running in Sydney and Melbourne.
Cool. What was your motivation for starting these classes? There's lots of martial art courses around. Why specifically this type?
I've done a few courses or styles in my time. I hold a shodan in black belt in Taekwondo and Kabuto, and instructor certification, obviously, in tactical Krav Maga. The reason we decided to go with this syllabus is because it deals exclusively with self-defense. There's no sports application, so everything that you do you can utilise, so you're not getting into any sort of bad habits that could put you in danger in a real life situation. It's also been designed to be, learnt very quickly, because people don't necessarily want to dedicate their entire lives to a style and have to do it for 4 years before they feel proficient, or for 4 years before they learnt how to defend against a knife or something. Yeah. So that's really important to people, to be able to pick stuff up quite quickly. You're not held back. If you haven't done a certain grading, you're not held back from learning that material. You can still learn that material. So that's good if people are doing shift work or can't come to every class and that sort of thing. And the other thing is that it's been designed to be utilised by small people like myself, because I'm 50 kilo, against big people. So it doesn't matter on, the size differences between the people, and that's really important when it comes to, I guess, girls, because we're often smaller. Women are often a bit smaller, a bit lighter, and speaking for myself, it's not very much fun coming up against someone who's angry, who's really big. It's very confronting. So if you've learned how to deal with things like that and actually have them work, it's very encouraging, very empowering. I mean, that was like 80% power. But that doesn't do anything to him. Hurts my hand, actually. Doesn't do anything, whereas if I'm like, bang, then I'm making an impact. So maybe he's a friend I don't really want to bang. Okay. Put behind you. Palm up. No, stop. Okay. Stay calm down.
Can you tell us a bit about the techniques of Krav Maga and where it originated?
Sure. Krav Maga means contact combat, or close combat, okay? So it's techniques that happen when you're close to someone else, okay? Obviously, if someone's 20 metres away from you, run, you have other options. So it really becomes a problem when you're close up. Its origins come from a military base, so back from it started probably end of World War II, things started, people started thinking about reality kind of situations, I guess. And it's got its roots in all sorts of military application and security, police. A lot of places around the world use it as training currently for their police forces, for the security. USA, Britain, Israel, Australia, all sorts of countries utilise these techniques, or very, very similar techniques, for their training, and they use them because they work, essentially. These have been battle tested, combat tested. Combat is real, and so they have to do what they've got to do. We as civilians have some additional options. We can run, and we will. Yeah. We don't have to take the enemy out. We can just get away if possible. So that we have some slight variations, obviously, to the original syllabus, but we still deal with unarmed attack and also defence against various weapons and things, because what's the use of training for 4 years, something empty hand, and someone draws a knife and you go, oh crap, I don't know how to do that, So we try and give you a well-rounded response. So people could be in front of you, behind you, beside you. You could be on the ground, you could be standing up, you don't know. Yeah. So it gives you a whole range. So
your classes are aimed specifically for women, are they not?
Yeah.
You have some mixed classes as well? Yes.
Yeah, we've got both women's only and mixed classes. We've done that primarily to give women that are a bit, maybe just starting out, never done anything before, and just want to be able to go in and train without having to worry about a testosterone-filled kind of environment, which some sort of boys' clubby kind of places can be, and it just gives them another option. Then we have mixed classes, which of course anyone can attend, so it might be a husband and wife want to attend, or it might be a father and daughter, which we have. It might be, two gay guys that want to come, why shouldn't the male gender have a crack at it as well? Having a different environment to train in. Maybe they don't feel comfortable in what's otherwise available as well. So it just gives everyone a bit of an option.
earlier before this interview, you mentioned that there's a lesbian class that's happening in Sydney. I'm just wondering, do women, or lesbians in particular, do they have different sorts of needs from perhaps heterosexual women or from what males would need?
I think, look, everyone has essentially the same needs, but perhaps our perspectives that we come at it might be different. So I guess the gay community has been very supportive, and I think, I don't know why that is necessarily, but maybe people are a bit more aware of their safety. You know, come under hate crimes and you know, attack probably, unfortunately, more often. I don't know the stats, but we're certainly more conscious of it perhaps in the gay community. So they're a bit, and they're, you know, usually quite happy to get in there and have a go and want to be empowered, and I think that that's important for anyone, regardless of, you know, their sexual choices. But to be able to have something that's empowering, certainly that appeals to most women, I think, and, you know, the gay community, the lesbian community. I don't know anyone that doesn't like to be empowered, so they've been really supportive. Yeah,
that's good. Do you need a certain fitness level to?
No, not at all. I mean, fitness is kind of a byproduct of what we do. Yep. Regardless of your fitness level, you may have to defend yourself today, tomorrow, next week, a year. Yeah. You know, you can't go, sorry, come back, attack me when I'm fit, you know. Yeah. So it has to be able to be utilised regardless of your fitness. Yeah. A real fight goes down very quickly, and so you've got to be able to get in there, do what you've got to do, and then get away. Obviously, you can probably run a bit faster if you're fitter, maybe, but that's probably a plus. But other than that, you've still got to do what you've got to do to protect yourself. Yeah. So I find people come in, regardless of their, maybe they have never learnt anything before, they might not have a high fitness level, they can still come in, still learn everything just the same as anyone else and work to their level, and walk away with the same tools and benefits.
Yep.
No matter how strong I am, I'm much stronger than Adori. I've probably got 70 kilos on it. I'm not stronger than her. I can't resist that. I just cannot stop that. There's an arm lock on me.
If I try and do it, some sort of wrist, I can't even get it on.
That finger lock?
Try.
Yeah.
Oh, special.
Sorry.
Fingers, then he'll go, always.
Doesn't matter how hard I resist, and I can resist that.
So there's a few more peaceful options. But if it's for real, especially someone like Kev, trying to string me, I've got about 3 seconds. Then
You're out of there. I'm like that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go for the eyes now. Come on, sit down. Roll him. Calm down. Put your hands up.
Okay. I give up. Stop.
Put your right hand behind you. Other hand.
Get off. Okay.
Calm down. Culture blow. People will use all sorts of closure techniques. Some people call it an interview process. Yeah. So they'll come up and see whether you're an easy enough target for them, especially if they're a bully and they're looking for a target either to assault, rape, you know, even to rob, whatever. They're still going to want a soft target. Yeah. So if you present that you're not that, by the way, you're walking along, you know where you are, you're aware, you've seen them, they haven't been able to ambush you. You know, if I've let him close in, I'm in trouble. I might not be gone, but I'm in trouble. Yeah. Whereas if I'm aware, man, I'm sorry, look, I haven't got any.
$2 come on.
All right. I haven't got any money, mate.
You got any money, mate?
Okay, so it's just, you go off like a firecracker, and they go,
whoa, yeah.
So it's an option. It might not always be an option. You might not have time. Might not be. They might have gone past that. They're already going to hit you. You can tell it. They're aggressive. They're amping up. Yeah. It's go time, whether I like it or not. I have to get past my denial that it's not happening, and do something about it. And if I can't get the distance and run, then I'll have to deal with it physically.
Oh yeah.
You know, with whatever's available. Australian women, 57% of them have experienced violence or sexual violence in their lifetime, and that's very sad, I think. 34% of those experienced it by a partner or former partner, so it's not always the stranger in the street. It's a very real problem. So yes, those people, you know, find it an empowering thing to be able to go, this negative thing happened to me, but there's no way on this earth that I'm going to let it happen and play out the same again. And you give them the tools so that God help them, I hope it never ever happens again. But they know that if something did happen, that next time, they would actually be able to do something. They could fight back, and that just turns people's lives around.
Do you have a favourite move?
Ooh, my favourite move. Oh, probably the groin kick.
Simple but effective.
Simple but effective. But I would never lead with a groin kick because guys are far too clever for that. So you distract them and then you do the groin kick. But that's probably my favourite. Yeah.
If you would like more information on some of the techniques we've seen here today, have a look at www.fightlikeagirl.com.au.
Hi, this is Studio Q on Bent TV. My name is Pete Dillon and I'm joined by John Kloprogge from Equal Love, part of the Victorian Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby. Welcome, John.
Welcome, Pete. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Tell us about Equal Love.
Equal Love, it's a working group of the Victorian Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby set up to campaign for relationship recognition for same-sex couples.
And Equal Love is planning an event at present?
Absolutely. Equal Love is planning our National Day of Action for Same-Sex Recognition, and that will be on the 13th of August 2006. That's not very far away, and it's going to be an amazing event to support relationship recognition, relationship equality, same-sex couples.
Where's this being held?
This will be held on the steps of Parliament House, Spring Street, Melbourne, at approximately 12:30 p.m.
And what's happening for the day? Is it just people arrive and listen to stuff, or is there specific events happening at Parliament House?
That's right. We will have specific events. We will have a huge midwinter vows ceremonies where same-sex couples can come together and declare their love for their partners, and that will be officiated by professional celebrants, and it should be a lot of fun.
So is this just for queer people, or is it do you want to see a broader audience?
We will definitely like to see a broader audience. There will be lots of same-sex couples. There will be lots of friends and family members and work colleagues and just general members of the community who will come along to support the cause for relationship equality for same-sex couples.
So is there an overriding theme for the day? Is it a theme of celebration? Is it a theme of protest? What's the feel of the day?
Well, a bit of both. We have to keep in mind that what we're campaigning for is relationship recognition and an end to discrimination. And basically what we hope to turn that into is a fun, family-friendly day to come together and to show what same-sex couples are like, and just to campaign for our rights.
Sure. If people want to get involved with this, certainly involved in the last 5 or 6 weeks of planning, or they want to register as a couple who want to go through the commitment ceremony on the day, how do they do so?
That's right. Yep, they can definitely do that. We have a website. That's www.equallove.org.au. You can contact us through there.
And is there a phone contact for people to ring in if they want to ask some questions?
That's right. Yes, you can contact us. You can contact Equal Love on the following number: 0409 142 365.
Excellent. So 13th of August, steps of Parliament House in Melbourne, 12:30. People can get in touch with us via the website or call the phone number we left earlier.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on Studio Q on Bent TV.
Thanks, Pete.